Guys, midweek energy check-in, first full week of March 2024. What do we have going on? Catch your breath, you guys, if you can today, because starting tomorrow, we are entering a 7-day window that is just like nonstop jam-packed action. Probably going to be a bit of a wild ride. The moon is going to be transiting through the quadrant of the zodiac over this next week. Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, where literally like all the planets are right now. That's going to translate into a hyperactive period of time in our experiences. This is being amplified by a Mars-Uranus square that will be simultaneously playing out exactly and activated by the moon transiting that quadrant. This is, twists and turns and expect the unexpected and things happening out of nowhere, like shocks and surprises, sudden change, okay? So it's probably going to be quite an unpredictable period of time. There's probably going to be, maybe some excitement going on, but just hyper stimulating. We also have a sun black moon opposition playing out this week, which could be triggering some fears collectively. We could be sort of experiencing some like hypercharged atmosphere, like fears of failure financially, monetarily. That could also be like agitating change or causing people to maybe like about face or just do something drastic and radically different. Very, very impulsive energy we're moving into, very kind of reckless energy we're moving into. Slow down, stay grounded if you can, you guys. Let's get into it. Let's talk about everything that we have going on and all the details, what things might be looking like for us as we move through this next 7 days. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. If you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have also done a collective tarot reading for us today. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality when I'm doing these collective overviews, just to get an additional energetic perspective of what perhaps is going on out there in our lovely energy field. So there could be some messages in there for you. That will be at the end. Let's get started with the astrology. Like I said, today is sort of like the last day to maybe catch your breath a little bit until, for the next 7 days or so. Actually, once we get through the 14th, things are going to slow down again, and we're going to have a nice week where we can sort of like process everything that's happened from kind of like a higher viewpoint and perspective. We'll get there. But for now, today is the last kind of like more chill energy that we're going to have for the next week through the 14th. And this is going to start kicking into gear later this evening. That is because the moon is going to leave the sign of Capricorn, enter the sign of Aquarius, where bang, 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 the moon will come into an exact alignment with Pluto. Now, this will be the first moon-Pluto alignment since last month, when the moon came into an alignment with Pluto, right smack dab in the middle of the precession of all of these personal planets that made conjunction to Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which if you guys have been following my channel, you know all about that, because I talked in great detail over the course of this past month of February, like pretty consistently, about how impactful that was likely to be in terms of really bringing up some like deep personal, internalized, maybe even like subconscious changes that were going to really begin to redefine our lives moving forward. Very, very life-changing month. Personal transformation on like the deepest core and fundamental levels were activated, whether or not we've realized it yet, were activated in the month of February when we had all of the personal planets come into an alignment with Pluto, the Phoenix energy, death and rebirth, transformation, purge, purification at that 0 degree rebirth point, critical degree in the sign of Aquarius for, the only time that, this hasn't happened in over 200 years, and it won't happen again, or it won't have the opportunity to happen again for another 200 years as well. So very rare alignments that we just underwent. And now as we move into this month of March, things are going to be speeding up along the lines of like seeing, or like, maybe the outcome of some of these more internalized transformations that may have gone on. Like Pluto, this is the underworld. This is things happening like deep under the surface, like deep within us. And this month we have, as I said, I was talking about the moon coming into the alignment with Pluto to start our, like later tonight, to start off this 7-day period. But then what is really going to sort of carry us through this is just this moon aligning with all the planets, literally all the planets in Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and Taurus right now. All the planets are wedged in this one quadrant of the zodiac. And that is just going to like set off this period of activity that I think is like the next step perhaps in that procession of planets conjoining Pluto at 0 degrees that we dealt with throughout the month of February. So with the moon, it's like the moon is indicating the next phase of this process. If you guys have been following along with my channel, I called the month of February, and like that whole dynamic that was set up like that, hero's journey, like a collective hero's journey through the underworld, because it was a journey through the underworld with all the personal planets, like all of our, internalized personal archetypes sort of coming up against this like powerful force of change and transformation in the sign of Aquarius at the 0 degree of Aquarius, which is this degree of like dynamic change and rebirth to realign actually with a more authentic potential. Because that's also the whole story here, is that we're moving into very powerful Aquarian Uranian energy, generally, collectively, over the course of the next, like, very expansive period of time, okay? We're talking like 2,000 years. This is going to be the dominant frequency. And Aquarius energy, Uranian energy, likes to extract the highest possible potential out of anything in alignment with like the utmost divine image, like the true destiny of what that thing is capable of becoming or producing or being. And anywhere that growth in alignment with that like true full potential has been stifled or has been inverted or has been distorted or has been maligned, the Aquarian Uranian energy is going to come through and like wipe the slates clean, or rearrange things, totally like knock all the pieces off the game board in order to put them back in the way that will promote the ability for that highest potential to again be able to expand into fruition. So while we are just moving into this energy now, which again was very emphasized on an energetic level by the fact that we had all of the personal planets hitting Pluto at that 0 degree mark in the month of February, this next 7 days that we're moving into now is likely to be highly active, perhaps in that regard of that experience, or in terms of whatever like life-changing transformations or shifts or changes in our own lives may have come into fruition or began to like stir within us over this past period of time. We're probably going to see, things happening now and moving forward. This is probably going to be 7 days of nonstop action. It's like this energetic burst that is sort of just like coming out of nowhere, everything happening at once. It could honestly be quite chaotic. It could be, provoking a lot of like nervous tension, like anxiety could be running really high. It may be very hard to sleep, to relax, to calm down over this next 7 days. And it's going to benefit us to stay grounded, because this energy can just really like have us feeling, maybe frazzled or fry our nerves, just feeling very over or hyper stimulated. It can be very hard to sleep, very hard to relax and like stay calm. So staying grounded is definitely going to be something that works in our favor as we move through this energy, but it really is just likely to be like this sudden burst of intensity. We do have all of these planets grouped together, in these signs, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus. You might want to know, especially if you have planets in those signs or opposing those signs or squaring those signs, what houses, those signs fallen into your own natal chart, because that will give you an idea of what area of your life is just likely to be lit up and highly activated over this next week. Now, that is not the whole story. In and of itself, the way that just the chart is established in the heavens right now, the moon coming through this quadrant of the zodiac is going to create this like hyperactive period of time. But we have a Mars-Uranus square that comes exact during this 7-day period. And not only that, the moon transiting this quadrant, transiting these signs, will hit both of these planets while while they're in the square. And, you know, like I said, the moon is a trigger for energy. So the moon is going to hypercharge what is already a hypercharged aspect, Mars in square to Uranus. And we'll be talking about this in my next video in the energy for this weekend and Friday, because that comes exact on the 8th. And of course, the moon will be in a conjunction with Mars when Mars comes into the exact square with Uranus. And this is another aspect, like even if we didn't have the moon hitting all the personal planets right now, and it was just the Mars-Uranus square, I would be saying the same thing about this week, because that is also like sudden, spontaneous, like fast-paced action and activity that's just kind of hitting us out of nowhere. It's like expect the unexpected, but in terms of energy and activity levels, it's just like highly impulsive. Like it's just like it's there and then it's not. And it's this energy that is just like agitating change. Back again to, you know, how this is all starting later today when the moon enters the sign of Aquarius and comes into that conjunction with Pluto, you know, reactivating all of these personal planet Pluto alignments at 0 Aquarius that took place last month. So again, it's like as we're moving into this energy, you know, something about what we went through last month when this dynamic hit may be coming up again perhaps, or maybe just intertwined somehow in this flurry of action and activity that comes into play this week. So, you know, there's a definite level of unpredictability that we're moving towards. However, it is very apparent that we should expect elevated levels of, you know, action, events, also like changes to plans and stuff. Things are probably not going to go according to whatever your schedule or itinerary is that you may have at the moment for, you know, this weekend and moving through next week as well. Being adaptable, going with the flow, and also realizing that a lot of the things that are happening right now, on one hand, are likely to be premature, okay? Mars square Uranus, this is a very impulsive energy that just takes off and doesn't necessarily like think through a strategy or a process before launching into action to try to make something happen. This can be a very reckless energy. It can feel kind of out of control, spinning out of control. There can be like a hyper stimulated like level of excitement that is coming through as well, but I don't recommend, you know, taking risks necessarily in this energy. Be observant, pay attention, you know, again, stay grounded. People are probably not going to be paying the best attention. I feel like a lot of people are going to be caught up in their own little worlds, especially also as we move more towards the weekend, and we also have a Mercury-Neptune conjunction going on in the midst of all of this. So, you know, just make sure that you are being aware kind of what's going on around you. This energy is agitating change though, like that's what's going on. I feel like I said, this is sort of like chapter 2 of that hero's journey through the underworld, all those personal planets conjoining Pluto last month, while we also had Chiron and the North Node together as well. That was another major part of the story that is also going to be being activated over the course of the next week when the moon comes through the sign of Aries and aligns to that current conjunction. Chiron, the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype, the North Node, the destiny point. There are some necessary wounds that we are either in the midst of experiencing or the midst of healing, forgiving, and being released from, that are functioning to release us karmically from cycles that we've been entrenched in or attached to, you know, generationally. We are breaking generational karma with a lot of this North Node Chiron energy that's coming through right now, but any Chiron energy is not going to come without some type of preliminary wound that functions as a catalyst to awakening. Puts us in pain, makes us uncomfortable, puts us in a position where we have no choice, essentially, like, but to level up and to begin to go through a process of personal alchemization, taking back personal power, you know, overcoming states of victimhood and internalized weakness that have attached us to anything we were surrendering power to. The North Node in the sign of Aries, this is going to be a leadership era. This is going to be where we are reclaiming personal power and, you know, activating some type of higher destiny that we're being called to, okay, right now. And with Chiron there as well, of course, this is going to have to do with overcoming states of victimhood, moving more towards a state of self-mastery, and being released from cycles of the past. That that is also what the personal planets conjoining Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius were doing as well. So, you know, all of that we went through, which may have translated into some very life-changing experiences or situations playing out in your life, you know, the continuation of that, okay, chapter 2 of that, or, you know, what that activated translates into in terms of activity, probably likely to perhaps gonna be going on this next couple of days that we're moving through right now. So should be a wild ride. All right, you know, hold on to your hat, you guys. Let's talk about the 4 stelliums that we do have playing out, or conjunctions, you know, however you want to call it, in this quadrant that is hosting all the planets right now. We of course have Pluto right now at 1 degree of Aquarius, just entered the sign of Aquarius. And like I said, to start off this moon activating all of these conjunctions that we have going on, we'll start with Pluto, and that's going to be happening later this evening. We also have Venus and Mars in a conjunction in Aquarius right now. Venus squared Uranus this past weekend. This weekend, Mars squares Uranus because they are traveling right now in Aquarius together in conjunction. We have Saturn and the Sun still in a loose conjunction with each other in Pisces, and then later down the line in the sign of Pisces, we have Mercury and Neptune building into a conjunction, aligned there together. That's going to be, like I said, coming into fruition this weekend. We also have the North Node Chiron conjunction right now in the sign of Aries that I was talking about. And then we have Jupiter and Uranus in a conjunction in the sign of Taurus. So over the course of the next week, we get the Moon Pluto alignment, and then we get the Moon Mars Venus alignment, and then we get the Moon Saturn Sun alignment, and then we get the Moon Mercury Neptune alignment, and then we get the Moon North Node Chiron alignment, and then we get the Moon Jupiter Taurus alignment. And that's everything, you guys. So just going to be one thing after another, after another, after another. But they're going to be, you know, there could be different things. Like I was saying, this is like everything happening at once. Like we're likely to start out, you know, as we move through this energy over this first couple of days of the week, there could be a greater emphasis on relationship stuff and on financial stuff and the changes that need to be made there because of the Venus-Mars conjunction, you know what I mean? And then we move to the Saturn-Sun conjunction, and it could be things to do with authority or government or bosses or career or a job, or, you know, the father, the family dynamic somehow. And then we move down the line and we get the Mercury Neptune, and that it could be things to do with like narratives and gossip and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So depending on where the moon is activating these planets, it's going to determine the type of activity that is going on for us. But regardless, it's just going to be a lot of busyness probably. And let's not forget, okay, that we also have the Sun Black Moon opposition, Black Moon in Virgo, Sun in Pisces, that is also happening this week, which will also be coming into fruition this weekend. This, to me, is really fitting in quite synchronistically with this month's go around of the Moon Pluto conjunction, also the Mars Uranus square being activated by the moon over this next couple of days while this opposition comes exact, as we're in this month of March, which really is the month that is bridging us into the month of April. I talked about this in my March overview if you guys watched it. April is going to be like an epic, like there's going to be something of epic, like life-changing proportions again, but like truly, that comes in the month of April. And that one is going to be real hard to call, and I'm not going to get into it now. We will talk much more about that. As we move towards that, we got a huge eclipse going on in April, and we also have a huge conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus. And, you know, this month of March is setting us up for that, and energy is sort of like waxing and waning a little bit in terms of like these bursts of this Uranus energy that is like highly activated, you know, with the squares between Mars and Venus. And, you know, Mercury has also been aspecting Uranus. The sun will also come into a sextile with Uranus. But, and then these periods of maybe like the cool down a little bit, like I said, like we have coming up the week after this following week, sort of, you know, a little bit like peaks and valleys perhaps of this intense change, transformation type of energy going on again, moving us towards April, which will be another month that is just, I feel like, wholly dominated by the unavoidable epic change in terms of the nature of things that are playing out. But, you know, I'm talking about how I feel like the Black Moon Sun opposition and the Moon Pluto conjunction that we have going on to start this off are kind of fitting nicely together. You know, both of these energies are representing these powerful transformations that are happening on these like deeply internalized and subconscious levels within us that are ultimately helping us to gain an awareness perhaps of some of our root issues that have been holding us back, causing us to surrender power, attaching us to things that are actually like not good for us, our own personal like toxicity that may be coming from unhealed or unresolved traumas or, you know, issues, wounds within us that we have been unaware of or that we have not known how to maybe like heal or deal with up until this point of time. Like, this is where we also gain the awareness that helps us to like unlock, you know, the knowledge or, you know, change our perspective or, you know, just change ourselves in such a way that we can finally break through a lot of the things that have held us back in the past. And the North Node Chiron conjunction again like plays into this as well. But the Moon and Pluto, right, that's definitely talking about some very deep, powerful feelings in regards to maybe some like root issues, okay, in terms of power dynamics. And then the Black Moon and the Sun. The Black Moon rules our shadow side issues. The Sun, this is obviously, you know, the greatest source of light. They are in the opposition. We have an opportunity to reflect on our own shadow side issues. When we are dealing with the Black Moon transiting the sign of Virgo, this brings up fears of failure. Virgo is the sign of the harvest, being productive, being able to produce a fruitful outcome in something. The, you know, the fear associated with that would therefore be failing to do such, okay? So when we're dealing with the Black Moon Virgo energy collectively, that is going to bring up fears of failure, especially in terms of like monetary things, financial things, material things. Could also be like things to do with our lifestyle or health and stuff like that going on as well. But we are gaining an awareness perhaps of what patterns are not working for us, what lifestyles, what choices, what behaviors, what actions, okay? While we have Mars and Uranus in the square, this is agitating change in terms of our behavior, our action, the way we're using our energy, the way that we're conducting ourselves, the way that we're living our lives generally. So we are being supported to make changes, okay, based on the awareness that we're gaining now. Now, Mars and Uranus in a square in fixed signs. This is disturbing the peace. Uranus and Taurus, this is upsetting, you know, the comfort zone, the status quo of things. These are actions that are causing a disturbance, but the disturbance that they're causing is something that is necessary to help us take back power, to help us rediscover like our authentic selves in some type of way, to release ourselves from cycles of trauma or karma or, you know, generational whatever has been going on that can no longer continue to perpetuate moving forth into this new energy that is laying new legacies that are going to, you know, redefine humanity's relationship to reality itself actually over the course of this next 2,000 years as we move into the age of Aquarius. And this generation of Aquarius with Pluto transiting Aquarius, that will be in play for the next 20 years, which is rooting, in my opinion, the age of Aquarius, anchoring the age of Aquarius frequencies to the planet, which, like I said, will continue to grow over the course of the next 2,000 years as we move through the age of Aquarius itself. So, you know, root core issues that we're gaining this awareness of or being given an opportunity, being shoved in our face maybe, so that we can gain an awareness of what cycles we need to break, what we need to change about ourselves or about, you know, our behavior in order to move forward in like a brand new direction. Somehow this is truly rebirth energy that we have going on. So there could just really be some very deep feelings, people being very triggered, people really projecting perhaps some insecurities or inadequacies or fears generally over this next couple days while we do have this Sun Black Moon opposition going on. But some very powerful encounters or experiences could be defining, you know, this next week as well, as we really have like this flash mob of planets that is just popping off. between the 8th or the 7th really and the 14th. So intense bursts of activity, right? Some type of dynamic or sweeping change that is either like being introduced, that is being somehow like agitated or like poked at, or that is just unfolding right now. This is a breaking point, I do feel like, on some level. Remember, it's Uranus energy. That is lightning striking the tower. I've been saying this over and over again. I'm going to continue to say this over and over again. When we're dealing with Uranian energy, the blessings are in disguise. A lot of times the initial impact of this force that comes through to make the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves is to just like, totally seem like some type of calamity or some type of destruction or some type of like event or circumstance or situation that goes on that is definitely like not for the best. That is usually how Uranus presents, as like the contrary to what the energy will actually turn into. So we need to do our best, okay, not to get freaked out in the midst or like be like, oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. That's going to be a major vibe, I feel like, over the course of this next several weeks, maybe even moving through the summer. Like people could be like very kind of freaked out about the things that might be coming into fruition. But we need to know, okay, things are not as they appear. Just because something may seem like the literal end of the world in the moment that it's happening, I'm telling you guys, when the cards fall, when the dust settles, when the fog clears and lifts, like we will come to find like, oh, that was awful. Like I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that. I wouldn't pick that for myself. I'm not signing up for that. However, I understand. It had to happen. I'm grateful that it happened because now I'm actually in a place that is much, 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 much better off than I was before, but I wouldn't have been able to do it for myself. Like I wouldn't have been able to get myself there. I wouldn't have been able to do what was necessary to put myself where I am now. And I'm actually grateful for, universe coming through and leveling my life in order so that, now I can be here. So I get it. It makes sense. I understand it. But I wouldn't have picked it for myself. Like that's generally what we're dealing with when we're dealing with Uranian energy. And once you've lived life long enough, I feel like we can recognize the points in our life where we have interacted with the Uranian energy. And I'm sure that you can all draw on some experience where initially you felt like whatever was happening was just the end of the world, worst case scenario, worst thing that could happen, but actually like come down the road, things play out, come to find out that was actually the exact thing that needed to happen so that, this sequence of events could play out so that I can ultimately be in this place that I wouldn't change now. So that's, if you do have experience like that, which like I said, I'm sure a lot of you do, that is what we're drawing on, okay? The future proves past sentiment that we gain from going through those experiences, where we could tell ourselves like, have faith from the beginning. Like, don't freak out. If you could go back to that scenario and give yourself some advice, you'd probably tell yourself things are not as they seem. Don't freak out. Just go with it. And the star card, the Aquarius energy, have faith. Trust the plan. Trust the process. Like things are unfolding according to a cosmic blueprint, a higher plan that we can't see as it's happening in the moment, but when all is said and done, wouldn't change it. And so like pull from that experience. If you find yourself, moving through some real uncertainty or just generally some like fears and stuff like that over this next period of time. Another thing I do want to be more specific about, because we're talking about this black moon opposition with the sun going on in the signs of Pisces and Virgo, while we do have the square between Mars and Uranus and Taurus and Aquarius, these fixed signs, to me this is like, and the energy always can play out a million different ways. There's a great variety of octaves ways the energy can manifest, but like, I just want to, throw it out there. The way that this is really like coming off the page to me, indicating perhaps some potential for fears of financial failure, economic failure, some type of like monetary or material based maybe fears of failure going on that are impacting people into maybe some type of like frenzied action, impulsive action, like needing to make a sudden change now. It's sort of like, you know, fear of financial failure, right? Or a lack of profit or something. We're talking about the black moon in Virgo, like not being able to, not seeing a productive outcome of something, like not seeing like a full profit, like not being able to like get a proper harvest or something, right? For some reason, that is when we're talking about that energy, that fear, it's not even, but it's the black moon, right? So it's not even necessarily like a real thing, more so like a speculation or a projection, or, you know, we're talking about the sun and the sign of Pisces too, right? This is the illusion. This is the dream. Like there could be, you know, just some type of fears, be them real or be them imaginary, that are sparking some type of very sudden impulsive action or change or something like that. Like it keeps bringing up in my mind this example of like some type of like lack of confidence in a financial situation or something that is driving some type of maybe like frenzied financial actions in a way that is like really changing things somehow. And because Uranus is a sign of Taurus as well, we got the black moon in Virgo opposing the sign of Pisces, and we got Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Uranus and Taurus, this is also like financial upheaval, okay? And then the black moon there in Virgo, this is like fears of financial failure on one level perhaps, that are driving maybe like some type of frenzied dynamic change in the way people are acting in regards to finances or financial markets or partnerships or something like that. I don't know. But that is like blaring to me like what the signal energy associated with the transits could on a more like macro or, you know, micro level in our lives be indicating as well. It also sort of looks like a rush into crypto for me. Like this looks kind of like the FOMO energy. Just a thought, but that's really what comes off the page of me when I'm just seeing the black moon Virgo energy opposite the sun in Pisces. You know, like I said, be it real or be it imaginary, there could be something going on right now that is sparking some type of financial fear that is driving change in another direction, quite like suddenly, unexpectedly, that is really like on one level, like upsetting status quos even more. Okay, so I don't know, you guys, this energy is just getting started. Stay tuned. There is definitely going to be more to come on this. We have symbolism today that is talking about this energy as well. In fact, the position of the earth itself, what's happening on the ground, the state of things on earth on Wednesday, 17 Pisces. We have a volcanic eruption. And then we also have a series of symbols that are talking about like what is going on in the behavior of men, okay? And, you know, men obviously as a, you know, blanket statement for humans. So we have 24 degrees of Pisces where Mercury is. A man turning his back on his passions teaches deep wisdom from his experiences. We have Mars at 18 degrees of Aquarius. A man's secret motives are being publicly unmasked. We have Saturn at 11 degrees of Pisces, men traveling a narrow path, seeking illumination. We have Jupiter at 13 Taurus, a porter, which would be a man, carrying a heavy mountain of baggage. And so we've got, you know, a volcanic eruption, and then we've got this symbolism of like humans doing things, like seeking things out, performing actions. Again, this like busy energy, but turning his back on his passions, teaching deep wisdom from his experience. Like this is a spiritually refined and elevated energy coming through. And then men traveling a narrow path, seeking illumination. Like we got this going on as well. And I've been talking about this like spiritual warrior archetype that I feel like is building and that is going to be coming in significantly over the course of this next couple of weeks as well. Mars, a man's secret motives being publicly unmasked. Like we're figuring it out. We're seeing the truth about stuff. Like illusions are clearing, you guys. And that's another thing that is motivating these sudden changes, sudden breakdowns, breaking point energy. But you know, the breakdowns that are necessary to free us on some level to embrace the destiny that universe God, Great Spirit, is serving to us and calling us towards right now on the higher levels as we are in this critical period of time on Earth in our cosmic blueprint, transitioning ages, moving into the age of Aquarius, okay? So a whole bunch of craziness, I think, is what we have to look forward to over the course of this next several days. But again, you know, it really has a lot to do with our perspective, how we're going to look at things, and how we're going to regulate ourselves and our own behavior. The more self-regulated that we can be, and I've been talking about this as well, and this is important, especially, you know, as we move into the stronger Aquarian energy and towards the, you know, the generational Aquarian energy of Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, which is the main Aquarius energy we're going to be talking about over the course of this next 20 years. It's important for us to learn how to be self-governing. We are moving from a centralized form and source of power to a decentralized form of power, which means the power goes from, you know, the hierarchy and the people at the top to the individual. But in order to make that work, the individual has to know how to use the power for, like, we're talking about Aquarius, for the facilitation of authentic growth and potential, which means learning how to be self-governing, learning how to be self-disciplined, learning how to be self-aware, self-motivated, okay? Like, over the course of the next 20 years, we are going to be getting a crash course in personal governance, and you know, everything that's happening right now is also moving us in that direction. So I'm going to stop talking about the astrology now, or I'll just keep talking about it. Let's move on and talk about the tarot for a minute. You know what? We have actually, like, literally almost the exact same message today that we had yesterday. I'm not making it up. When I was shuffling the deck today, I have a certain system that I use to shuffle the deck when I am doing readings, tarot readings for this channel. And when I was doing that today, I literally had the exact same cards come out as came out in my last reading for Monday. Now, I do have different cards on the back of the deck today, which is kind of like continuing the story, I feel like. But this message clearly needed to be, I mean, I guess it's just the theme of the week, and this is what I need to talk about again. But, you know, again, this message is talking about, and I had these 3 cards come out, and then I had these 2 cards come out together, which literally are the same cards that I had yesterday. I didn't, like, shuffle my deck super well, so they were still grouped together in the deck, but there's a lot of cards in that deck, and I just find it quite ironic that the same exact cards came out. But we're looking at a Knight of Swords, an 8 of Cups, a 6 of Cups. That is making a sudden choice or a decision to walk away from something in regards to the past that we may have loved, that, you know, may have been very much a large part of our world, that we may have been very connected to. There could be, like, a sense of nostalgia or, like, early childhood that is associated with it as well. But this is literally like making like an epiphany hitting us, or a sudden flash of insight or something, or a conversation, a message, a piece of information coming, or just a shift in perspective that is causing us to move away from something that has defined our lives for a long period of time, because it's no longer a reflection of where we're going and who we're becoming and what we're growing into and who we've recognized ourselves to truly be on a soul level at this point in time. The next 2 cards are the 2 of Cups in reverse and the 2 of Swords. This is talking about, you know, we may have been for a period of time caught in a place of indecision where we knew something was no longer a match for us. Like, we know it doesn't fit us anymore. We know that it's not truly meant for us, like, on a deeper soul level. Like, we know that this is not the match or the thing or the partner or the situation for us anymore, even though it may have always been. Maybe it was, but maybe when it was because we were actually detached from our personal truth. And maybe it was more a reflection of who we thought we were than what we actually were, who we actually were. And maybe we've been going through some type of an experience where we've really been like weighing or caught in between or not know what to do. Like, should I stay or should I go? But this energy is talking about something that's going on this week that is bringing that insight suddenly, whatever we need to remove that blindfold, cut ourselves free from a place of indecision in regards to the past, what we've been connected to, relationships, partnerships, what we've been attached to, what we thought was for us, but we're realizing now, perhaps really isn't. A sudden shift in perspective that is quickly moving us out of that situation, having us make that decision, slice that the ties or whatever. Actually, I said we had different cards on the back of the deck. This reading, on the back of the deck, we have the Page of Pentacles and the Devil in reverse. Again, this is talking about, like I said, cutting the chain, like breaking ourselves free from the attachment, taking back our power, deciding that, we are no longer going to be a part of something that is not like helping us to feel like we can become something new. Like this is the Page of Pentacles, right? So it's like what we get, or as a result of the momentum or of the choice or of the decision that we need to sever the ties and to move away. It's like we get this, he's holding, this golden globe of endless possibilities in the palm of his hand, like we have this whole new chance to start over. It's also the page, right? It's this fresh start. It's like reclaiming lost opportunities also. So there is endless potential associated with the decision to move away from something that we've been attached to that probably has not been good for us and that probably has not truly been a reflection of who we're recognizing ourselves to be right now. So that's what I have to say, you guys. I feel like a lot of people are going to be discovering their value and moving towards cultivating that and away from perhaps the ties to the past that maybe were keeping them blind, right? With this Two of Pentacles blindfold energy to their personal truth that they're, discovering potential value, worth, power, moving towards right now. So that's how I feel like the tarot message is coming together for us once again today. Gonna get one more card, you guys. Synchronicity card, God, Spirit, Universe. What is one additional piece of advice that we can use as we start our entrance into this wild ride week of just non-stop activations that are going to be happening over the course of the next 7 days? What could it benefit us to know today and as we move into this energy? Let's try again. What do we need to know? Well, I guess we'll just keep shuffling. Must be there we go, very specific message. And it says, you guys, think of good. And that's what I was saying, how we choose to perceive things is really, honestly, going to make an impact on our experience as we move into this hypercharged Uranian energy, not only this week, right, but as we move into the month of April and the rest of the summer. All right, think of good. The mouth of the righteous is a well of life, Proverbs 10:11. As you continue to think on whatsoever things are true, lovely, noble, and of good report, you will gradually change the negative patterns of your thought. You become aware of a gradual change and think constructively based on what you know to be right and good. I appreciate that this card is bringing up negative thought patterns because, again, like that is something that this Black Moon energy, we're talking about Black Moon and Virgo, that is thought patterns, okay? That is fears of failure, perhaps, and the negative self-talk that's associated with them, and the Pluto Moon energy as well, and then moving into this Mars square Uranus energy, which gives us an opportunity to truly change things. Mars in the sign of Aquarius, this is what we're thinking about, our mental state, okay? The way our mind is working and the possibilities that we perceive for ourselves. So think of good, you guys. Don't judge everything as it's happening immediately in terms of surface level appearances. Blessings are coming through in disguise right now, and we are moving in the right direction even if it doesn't necessarily seem that way in the moment. That's what I have to say, you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would also appreciate this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I'm so grateful for your presence here, your feedback, your contributions in terms of your experiences are very meaningful to me. If you are experiencing things that are a reflection of what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group that is linked in my description box below where I post pictures of the whiteboards. And Janice Shellman, who created the synchronicity cards, she posts the synchronicity cards over there as well. So that is what I have to say today, you guys. I will be back, like I said, on Friday. We will really get into this Mars square Uranus energy in even more detail. And you don't want to miss it, all right? I will be here to talk about it. You should be here too. I will see you next time, everybody. And until then, bye, guys.